Hey, viewers, Richard to do an impressional talking bit, and what time is it? It's Adventure Time because I'm looking at an Adventure Time game. I'm looking at Adventure Time Explore the Dungeon because I don't know. I love these titles. I did play the other Adventure Time game that came out. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I want to say it was last year. It was like, "Hey, Ice King, why'd you steal our garbage?" Once again, another freaking silly title. And I really liked that game, so I was really excited when they had announced that there was a new Adventure Time game coming out, because there's a lot of possibilities with the show if you've ever seen it. It just opens itself really good to different gameplay styles for a video game. So, finally getting it and trying it, a bit of a mixed feeling, if anything. I mean, so if you haven't seen the gameplay for this, essentially what the game is, it's I don't know if it's quite a mystery dungeon, not really in the traditional sense. Okay, I know it isn't. It's more of a I guess a beat 'em up, if anything. And what you do is you're going through this dungeon that's in the Candy Kingdom, and it's a 4-player game. You go in this on each floor of the dungeon. You have to find the stairs to the next floor, and you can defeat enemies. You can find some gold. There's some traps and stuff like that, and there's gaps. And as you keep going deeper and deeper, each floor gets bigger and a little more complex. More enemies, new enemies. Gets a little more difficult. Eventually, there's a boss every so often, and that's the game. Like I said, it's up to 4 players. There's a bunch of different characters from the show you get to play as. Right off the bat, when you get the game, of course, you can play as Finn, Jake, Marceline, and Cinnamon Buns. As you go through the game, you'll unlock more characters like the Ice King, Lumpy Space Princess. Who else is there? There's some other characters whose names completely escape me. Yeah, that's the game. You just go through this dungeon. My biggest problem is, there's actually a lot of problems I have with this game. One of the first ones is when you go through it, you have to go through a couple of floors before you can return to the surface. I think like 5 floors you can do, and then you get the option of returning to the surface. Unless you complete a story-based thing, like you beat a boss for the first time and you automatically get returned. And then you can take all the treasure you've collected in the dungeon and spend it to upgrade your character. In ways of like more health, a bit stronger, the power, the bomb power is better and whatnot. Just things like that. But these upgrades cost a fucking lot of treasure. And and it wouldn't be so much of a problem if the fact that once you return to the surface, you have to spend as much of your treasure as you can, because if you go back into the dungeon, you lose any remaining treasure you don't spend to candy tax, which is the most stupidest thing ever. And I don't know for the life of me why they would have that. I mean, if it's to make you play the game more, or if it's to make it a little more challenging, it's stupid. It just seems to be one of the biggest problems, is the fact that you lose all this treasure you've collected. So, if you get a bunch of treasure hoping to upgrade something, you don't have quite enough, you're fucked. Luckily, though, no matter what, you'll be able to get the first upgrade, or one of the cheapest upgrades, which is like worth 30 treasure, I think, and it's to increase your health by 1 heart. So, like, worst case scenario, you have to spend it on another character. But still, that it is really stupid that that's the case. Another big problem is this game's really boring by yourself. And it is especially so when you're trying to get all this treasure so you can get better upgrades. You're starting to catch on to the problem, aren't you? This game just, if you're playing it by yourself, it sucks. It really does. it's obviously a hell of a lot more fun with other people. Not that I've tried with other people, but anything with another person is always a hell of a lot more fun because multiplayer just ends up being a lot more fun, no matter what. Especially if it's with another person. This game is a couch game. You can't play online with your friends, so that also automatically makes it a little more fun with other people. Traditionally, anytime I play a game with other people in the same room, always ends up being a hell of a lot more fun than if it was online, because the communication aspect is hugely opened a hell of a lot more. It's a weird thing. What else do I have to say? Some of the positive things I have to say about this is they have the actual voice cast voicing all the characters, which is always a good thing. And so the delivery with all the characters is really good. I haven't noticed any point where it's just like, wow, they're really phoning it in. So that's a good thing. Another good thing is the cutscenes. Although maybe some people won't appreciate it as much, the cutscenes are done in like this, more of like in like a DOS sort of aspect, so it's like very choppy movements. So don't expect it to be like the fluent animation you expect from the show, which would have been really cool, just saying. But coming for at least me, I find that the DOS-ish cutscenes look really cool. Like, they're almost reminiscent of like something like King's Quest, essentially. If you ever played one of those games where the cutscenes, where they have the pictures in like this bar up here, and then they have the text right down here. It looks really funny, it looks really cool, and when it's voiced by the cast, it just works really well. Beyond that, I mean, the controls work. Each of the characters have something that's different about them. So, like, Finn can have an extra one of these tokens, which essentially gives you like little bonuses. Marceline can like hover over gaps and traps, and then Jake has a better bomb, or which they call it an imagination power, or something like that. So like each of the characters have like something that makes them a little bit better than any of the other characters. So like there is a bit of trying to find which character you prefer to play as, not only from, hey, this is my favorite character, to, hey, he has some really good things that work out, like maybe like the extra heart or some shit like that. So there are things like that in the game, but they don't really mean a whole lot because this game is a bit easy. There wasn't a point where I was playing it where I felt like if I was gonna die. The closest it comes is when you get bombarded by like certain enemies. For instance, there's like these birds, or like these hummingbirds or something like that with these sharp objects on their beaks, and they just dash towards you. When you have like 3 of them on you at once, it kind of screws you over a little bit. But those moments are very few in between. Beyond that, the game is very simplistic. I mean, you won't have that much of a problem. Can't really see kids even having a problem with this, which is unfortunate because the game could use a bit of an extra teeny bit of difficulty. I mean, like, when you're getting close to the first boss, you would think there'd be a little bit of a challenge. I mean, this is 10 floors. This is 10 floors into the game. A little bit of difficulty, but especially by that time, you start losing interest in the game because there isn't a whole lot there, gameplay-wise. Presentation's fantastic. Everything that's packaging it is really good. It's just the gameplay lacks, which the entire game itself suffers heavily from. Like I said, did try multiplayer. I'm pretty sure that makes it a little bit better, a little more playable, essentially, with the gameplay being so lackluster in a few ways. But most of the time, you might be playing this on your own, and it's not that great on your own. Great multiplayer, not great single player. Anyways, with that all said and done, until next time, keep on gaming.